Imagine the humid haze of a Memphis evening in 1962, where the Mississippi River hums like a low E string under the sodium glow of streetlights, and a lanky 20-year-old kid named Steve Cropper, fingers calloused from endless plucks on a second-hand Gibson, steps into a converted movie theater turned recording studio, not knowing he's about to etch his soul into the very fabric of American music. Born Stephen Lee Cropper on October 21, 1941, under the steady gaze of Libra in the rolling hills of Dora, Missouri, where the Ozarks whisper secrets to the wind, Steve was just 9 when his family uprooted to the beating heart of the South, Memphis, Tennessee. A move that would trade cornfields for cotton fields and quiet farm life for the raw, electric pulse of Beale Street blues. At 84 years young when he slipped away on December 3, 2025, in a Nashville rehabilitation center after a recent fall that fate seemed to decree as his final curtain, Steve wasn't the spotlight hog. No, he was the quiet architect, the guitarist whose chicken-pickin' riffs and heartfelt hooks built empires of sound that still make strangers sway together in smoky bars, reminding us that the best legacies aren't shouted, they're felt in the bones. Envision little Steve, wide-eyed and restless, in that modest Memphis home where gospel choirs from nearby black churches filtered through open windows like holy smoke, mingling with the crackle of late-night radio carrying Chuck Berry's twang and Jimmy Reed's moan. His folks, hardworking Ozark transplants scraping by on factory shifts and diner tips, weren't musicians, but they gifted him dreams bigger than their paycheck. And by 14, that mail-order guitar arrived like a bolt from the heavens, its strings humming with possibility. He'd sneak into the garage after supper, fingers fumbling at first, then flying, mimicking the heroes who made his heart race, until the neighbors banged on the wall not in anger, but to beg for one more chorus. High school at Messick became his informal conservatory, where he formed the Royal Spades with a ragtag crew of dreamers. Saxman Packy Axton, whose aunt and uncle ran a little record shop called Satellite. And by 1960, they'd morphed into the Marquis, their horn-driven, Last Night blasting onto charts like a firecracker in a cathedral, hitting number 3 and pulling Steve, at 19, into the whirlwind of Stax Records. It wasn't glamour, it was grit. Long nights in that shoebox studio at 926 McLemore Avenue, where the air smelled of sweat and soldering iron, and every take felt like a prayer for breakthrough. But oh, the magic that unfolded there, like lightning bottled in a mason jar. In 1961, Steve crossed paths with organ whiz Booker T. Jones, a teenage prodigy fresh from Booker T. Washington High, and together they forged Booker T. and the MGS Al Jackson Jr. On drums, a metronome of thunder from the heart of Beale, Louis Steinberg on bass, steady as the river, and later Donald Duck done sliding in like he was born to it. They weren't just a band. They were the invisible thread stitching Stax's tapestry, an interracial crew in the segregated South, laying down the grooves for soul's golden age. Picture the session for Green Onions in '62. A humid August afternoon, Booker improvising that iconic organ hook on a dare, Steve's guitar slinking in like a fox in the henhouse. Sharp, sparse, unforgettable. Cutting a track in a single take that would sell 3 million copies, top the R&B charts, and become the soundtrack to drive-ins and diner jukeboxes across America. It was more than a hit. It was a revelation. Steve's Telecaster weeping with a restraint that tugged at your chest, proving that sometimes the spaces between notes say the most. And from there, the floodgates opened, backing Otis Redding's Velvet Thunder on Mr. Pitiful, where Steve's rhythm locked like a heartbeat, crafting in the midnight hour with Wilson Pickett, that Stax Volt Summit in '65 where the room pulsed with possibility, Steve co-writing the hook that made hips sway from Harlem to Hollywood, hitting number 1 and earning him the eternal shout-out. Play it, Steve. Those Stax years were Steve's forge, a blaze of creativity amid chaos, producing Eddie Floyd's Knock on Wood, its riff a Morse code of longing that climbed to number 1 on R&B, engineering Sam and Dave's Soul Man, where his stinging solo ignited the chorus like a match to dry tinder, another chart topper that would echo through decades. Heartache shadowed the highs, though. The '67 plane crash that stole Otis at 26, just weeks after they huddled over Sittin' on the dock of the bay. Steve shaping those wistful whistles and lazy licks from Otis's demo tapes, polishing a posthumous masterpiece that topped the Hot 100 and sold 4 million, its royalties a bittersweet balm. By 1970, Stax's empire crumbled under financial storms, and Steve wandered, producing for Jeff Beck, sessioning with John Lennon on Jealous Guy, his touch turning rock into something warmer, more human. Yet Memphis never left him. It coursed through his veins like the Cumberland's current, pulling him back for reunions that felt like family barbecues, tears and laughter mingling over faded gold records. Inducted into the Rock Hall in '92 with the MGs, 2 Grammys in his pocket by the 2010s, and that mojo crowning him second greatest living guitarist in '96. Keith Richards calling him perfect man. Steve's path was a testament to the quiet power of craft, the way one man's fingers could mend the fractures in a nation's soundtrack. Away from the studio haze and stage lights, Steve's world was a tender counterpoint, rooted in the soil of love and legacy, where the music's fire met the hearth's glow. His heart first belonged to Betty Elizabeth Grooms, a Memphis girl with eyes like the Delta Dawn, whom he wed in 1961 amid the blush of young passion and budding fame. Their union, spanning 17 years until '78, birthed 2 lights, son Stephen and daughter Ashley, kids who grew up with the scent of vinyl and takeout Chinese from late-night sessions clinging to their dad's clothes. Those were whirlwind days, Betty holding the fort while Steve chased the muse, her steady hand a harbor for his storms, even as the road's pull strained the seams. Divorce came soft, not shattered, leaving a family woven tighter by time, Stephen's voice breaking in a Facebook tribute after Steve's passing. He certainly lived an incredible life and enjoyed every minute of entertaining you all. Then, in the late '80s, like a second verse finding its chorus, Steve found Angel Heitwer, a woman whose grace matched his groove, her laugh a melody that steadied his later years. They married in a quiet ceremony that felt like coming home, welcoming son Cameron, who'd confirm his father's death to Variety with a voice thick as Mississippi mud, and daughter Andrea, a blended brood of 4 that filled their Nashville nest with the chaos and joy of unscripted songs. Family wasn't a footnote for Steve. It was the bridge between hits. The Sunday suppers where Ashley's stories from school drowned out old demo reels, Cameron strumming his first chords on Dad's spare Fender, Andrea's hugs pulling him from tour buses into backyard hammocks. Angel, his anchor through the '90s Blues Brothers revival, reuniting with Duck Dunn for Dan Aykroyd and the late John Belushi's Wild Ride, that play at Steve. Shout Out in Soul Man, a full-circle wink to '67, kept the flame kindled, her support the silent co-producer in albums like 2017's Grammy-nominated Heavy Soul, where Steve's guitar danced with Keb, Mo like old friends at a reunion. Through it all, Steve's faith, a quiet Baptist thread from those Missouri roots, wove gratitude into every riff, crediting divine timing for the MG's interracial harmony in Jim Crow's Shadow, a bridge across divides that mirrored his own blended home. The ledger of Steve's life tallies to a net worth around $5 million as of late 2025, a humble harvest from decades of royalties that trickle like rain on tin roofs, endless streams from Dock of the Bay alone, which has sold over 8 million copies worldwide, plus Green Onions and Midnight Hour fueling jingles, samples, and syncs in movies from The Sandlot to Quentin Tarantino's soul playlists. Session fees piled up too, $200 an hour in the '70s, ballooning with demand for that Memphis magic on Rod Stewart tracks or Willie Nelson's outlaw anthems, while production credits on '80s hits added 6 figures annually. No yachts or vaults for Steve. He invested in the intangibles. A cozy Nashville bungalow with Angel, its walls lined with gold discs and family portraits, or quiet stakes in music publishing that ensured his kids' futures. Philanthropy flowed naturally, donations to Stax's Soulsville Foundation keeping the studio's spirit alive for wide-eyed kids like he once was, scholarships for Memphis youth chasing their own, last-night breakthroughs. In a world of excess, Steve's wealth whispered wisdom. Fortune's sweetest note is the one that lifts others, echoing in the way he'd slip cash to struggling session men or host free guitar clinics, his calloused hands guiding tiny fingers to their first clean chord. To glimpse Steve's everyday rhythm was to hear the blues in repose, a life of deliberate grooves, where the pedal steel's twang gave way to the coffee pot's percolate. Dawn in Nashville broke gentle, around 7 a.m., with angels stirring eggs in their sun-dappled kitchen, the aroma of bacon mingling with faint strains of Coltrane from the stereo, Steve rising slow, joints creaking like an old Les Paul, to sip black coffee on the porch swing, watching cardinals flit through the magnolias. Mornings meant tinkering, tuning guitars in his home studio, a converted garage humming with amps and echoes of Stax Ghosts, or jotting lyrics for half-formed hooks inspired by a dream or a drive down I-40. Afternoons blurred into legacy work, mentoring young pickers via Zoom, his voice gravelly with wisdom. Less is more, boys. Let the song breathe. Or jamming with old MG survivors at Beale Street haunts, Duck's ghost in every bass thump. Evenings were sanctuary. Family dinners where Cameron grilled ribs and Andrea shared tales from her Nashville adventures, laughter bubbling over stories of Steve's 70s excesses, tour buses breaking down in Kansas, wild nights with Pickett that ended in dawn harmonica duels. Indulgences stayed simple. A cold Shinerbach after a set, fresh Gulf shrimp at a hole-in-the-wall pobby joint, or long walks with Angel along the Cumberland, her hand in his, talking not of fame but of the what-ifs. The brothers lost too soon like Al Jackson in '75. Weekends whisked them to Memphis roots. Pilgrimages to the Stax Museum, Steve lingering at the Green Onions console replica, eyes misty with the ghosts of sessions past, or quiet barbecues with Stephen and Ashley, the kids swapping dad jokes over ribs smoked low and slow. Through the aches of 60 years on the road, shoulder twinges from endless strums, the fall in late November 2025 that sidelined him to rehab, where Eddie Gore found him still humming melodies. Steve's days pulsed with buoyancy, volunteering at guitar camps for underprivileged teens, his 5'10" frame leaning inconspiratorially. The fretboards like life slide when you gotta, bend when you don't. It was an existence of harmony, not hustle, where the roar of festival crowds faded to the whisper of wind chimes, and every encore mirrored the truth. Joy's the riff that never ends, played with the ones who make the melody whole. As the final fade-out plays on December 3, 2025, a day when Nashville's winter gray seemed to weep in rhythm with the world's quiet grief, we're left holding Steve Cropper's gift, not in platinum plaques or million-dollar tallies, but in the ache of a riff that reaches across time, pulling us into huddles of shared soul. From that Missouri farm boy fumbling strings to the colonel commanding Stax's symphony, his journey stirs the embers of our own unspoken songs, the dreams chased through doubt, the loves that steady the storm, the quiet acts that echo louder than applause. In his passing, after that stubborn fall and a lifetime of rising, Steve reminds us, music's true measure isn't the charts it climbs, but the hearts it mends, the divides it dissolves, the nights it turns to forever. If this tapestry of twang and tenderness has plucked at your strings, awakening that familiar swell of nostalgia or the urge to crank up Dock of the Bay one more time, then walk this melody with us a little further. Tap subscribe to keep unearthing the stories that strum our souls, and drop a like if Steve's groove got your foot tapping through the tears. Until the next chord strikes true. Play it forward, hold the harmony close, because legends like Steve don't fade. They just invite us to pick up the guitar.